Let me know when you're ready. With my girl.
You're focused. You're ready to go.
Oh yeah, I got my girl.
All right.
Okay.
I guess educate me.
Okay, so we're talking about my girl, Aaliyah. I do have possibly the first album, for 4-page love letter, but I don't know where it's at, or I do have to buy it anyway. So there's only one song off of that album I care for, and it's a 4-page love letter. Um, so this album, I got that album, and then this album here, which was her second album, and A Million and One.
1 in a million.
Same thing.
I'm reading it right here. It says 1 in a million.
Actually, this one has 4-page love letter. So I guess they added that song to this album. So she collaborated with Missy Elliott and Timberland. And she came out with this album here. And I think she may have put in songs that were a big hit off of their first album onto this one too. So this was really good. So off of this album, my father and I really liked A Million and One and 4-page letter, because of the beat, the lyrics, and that kid, the little baby, whoever that kid was, I don't know who it was, but was in the song. But off of this album, for sure, that's what that. So we bought the album, we listened to it, and then those two songs were on my playlist and forever playlist. So this is when, at this point in time, let me see the year, 1996 is when the album came out. So I'd have been 11.
Cool story.
And then we had another one when before she passed away. And then we have this one, which is the one that everyone knows. So Rock the Boat, I Care for You, More Than a Woman. And she also did a song from the movie, which is not in here. So yeah, so this one right here, Rock the Boat, which is her famous music video, which is her last music video before she passed away. So Rock the Boat for me was when I was starting to get where music and sexuality was becoming a thing, and understanding that you can sing about your love and interests, but not only that, the sexuality of a person and what you can do sexually to another person. Does that make sense? Because when we decode music, Rock the Boat is you know what. And when you change positions, you're changing positions. When you are, some of the lyrics too is something you do to do something else while you're doing something marital stuff. So this is when me and my dad was like, oh, by the way, this is what's going on. And he was shocked that this was on public television. Rock the Boat on MTV.
Well, I mean, MTV always pushed the boundaries on things anyway, but I mean, sex has always been discussed in one way or another on and in music. But people are acting like it's a new thing. It's not. But I get there's always one or two songs that at a certain point, your brain puts two and two together of what they're speaking of, and it connects. So I get you at your age when realizing what's going on with this song and why it sticks out to you. Totally understand it. So, I
Also, I don't know how to put this in nice terms.
keep it PG.
Race and color of a person to dignify whether or not I can listen to the music.
Oh, you're talking about the gatekeepers that are saying if you're not of a certain race or you're not of a certain gender or you're not of a certain sexuality, you are not allowed to listen to this music and we are going to keep it away from you.
Okay, so
Those type of people just need to go away because music is made for the people. And there's always going to be those within fandoms of trying to keep new fans from coming in, and that's probably what you were experiencing.
So my dad. Okay, so my dad introduced me. Well, when Rock the Boat, I was trying to put it over there on this thing.
Oh.
So when Rock the Boat came out, my dad taught me about decoding music, about what it can represent, what it can mean. So like the girl, I wish I was a punk rocker with flowers in my hair, was basically dictating the revolution of the 70s and the civil rights movement, and how Puff the Magic Dragon was not a dragon puffing smoke, it was something else relating. So when I was turning 10,
No, Puff the Magic Dragon is a children's story.
so it's not adult content. If
Not
you're
at all.
talking about, okay, we're going to take in that later because I was told something different.
My understanding is not at all. I'm going to have to do research into that, and then we will discuss Peter, Paul, and Mary and Puff the Magic Dragon.
Okay, so again, when I was 10, my dad was enjoying Aaliyah along with me, enjoying Aaliyah. So he was working, he was a bartender, and he was getting, he was playing the music and stuff in the lounge at Howard Johnson and Thibodeau. So he was enjoying this. He also got with me and start making him a mixtape. So when he's in the car, Aaliyah was a very high influence for him. Million to One, Are You That Somebody, Back and Forth. Basically, this right here album, my dad likes every single song, which completely shocked me. Because again, I was told that if I was that you cannot listen to. So my dad was getting head turns when he was pulling into parking lots because he was listening to Aaliyah. And so he would come home with the CD of Aaliyah he went to Walmart, he saw Aaliyah and whatever, whatever, and he picked it up and he gave it to me and we were listening to it together. And like I said, like again, if it was Michael Jackson on the radio, if it was Aaliyah, whatever he would play, people just like look at him sideways. It's like, why are you listening to this and and you're not So that's when my dad was like, okay, we'll keep Junior KJ. This is not right. This is not fair. It's music brings everybody together. Politics and race and social justice tears us apart. Politics tears us apart. Stock market talk tears us apart. But music brings everybody together. And you should never subject yourself because of a race of a person, color or age, or if that person died or was still alive, and aren't to enjoy the song.
Okay, but I mean, this goes back to what we were discussing though. Your parents did talk of music and they did use it for things, but they didn't do it at a young age. They waited until you were of an older age to discuss relevancy. Whereas I would have been, if this was being played, we may not have discussed the meanings of the song, but we would have discussed the power of her music and her and her voice.
But what also was going on is that the lyrics was of a content of me going into an adult age. I was listening to Selena. I was listening to Evita. I was listening to Disney songs, or what was playing on a radio about a man loving a woman. I wasn't having sexual innuendos.
Right. No, I totally get that, but what I'm
So
saying,
that's when my dad jumped in the picture and he taught me about
but
what's going
you
on.
guys shared in the enjoyment of this.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is this: you did not share in the enjoyment of music until you got of an older age.
Correct.
That's what I was getting at in the last conversation that we were having.
Because she wasn't until
Right, but
I
I mean,
was
there
10
were
or
other
11.
artists that could have been discussed that were not. They waited until you started showing any kind of interest in music. They did not introduce the music to you. You found music and then they discussed it.
correct.
My family was vice versa. They were introducing music right and left. So,
All right. So this is a right here. This album here is a collector's one.
okay, so this is like a greatest hits type deal thing?
Right.
Okay.
And then this one right here is all her songs in one album. So this is an anthology. I think what you call an anthology.
Yes.
Yeah. This is my favorite one because this is my songs and my dad's favorite songs.
But yet you never put it on.
Because I don't want to ruin it. And that's my thing.
Okay,
I don't
but
want
here's
to ruin.
here's
I
the
don't want to
thing.
ruin the vinyl, and I don't want to open it because to me it's a collector's item. That's why I
But
buy
you-
two.
But this is open.
So
Play
I can
it, but you don't put it on.
Reason
And
why-
music
because
is to
this
be
what's
bought
going
and
on.
enjoyed, in my opinion.
Because I know that I cannot go to the store and buy this again if
But-
it's ruined.
But it's not going to get ruined being played.
Records get warped.
They get warped because they're not stored properly. They don't get warped on the turntable.
So what is considered a broken record? What is considered a warped record?
Warped is when it's warped and it has waves with the
Because of
record,
heat-
and then it
because
won't
of the
be
heat.
within the heat, the way it's stored.
So if
Oh.
I keep playing this record between today, every day for the rest of my life, it will not be.
I mean, eventually it will. Okay, so here's the thing. Eventually it will lose its power of being able to play. But you're talking thousands upon thousands of plays. Because
I'm
look at how
glad-
many used records we have. We do not know how many times they were played before we purchased them, and then the number of times that I have played them since purchase, and they still play. The ones that weren't taken care of and have scratches on them and they have skips, that's one thing. But our turntable has the automatic arm drop, so it's not releasing any extra pressure on the drop. It's not causing any scratches, and as long as the stylus, the needle, stays good, it's not going to ruin the record.
This is why we're having this podcast. This is why we're having the album talk, because I thought that as if you keep abusing or using the record, that it's just gonna give out and you can't buy it again. Okay, well, so now you're telling me something completely different.
Well, I mean,
So
look at
now-
my Barbra Streisand collection, and you know how much I've listened to all that. It still plays. And all those were bought used.
Except at first.
Outside of Release Me and Lady Liberty or whatever it was called. Her
Okay.
latest two.
Right. Okay then. So I'm gonna start playing them. So what I do is, if I like an artist like Aaliyah, I'll buy two of the same album. One I open and play and listen to. Second one I don't open at all. So my we call it self-titled red album. That I'm not opening that up yet and listening to it until I buy another one, and then I can able to watch it and listen to it, because that's my thing. I have one to keep collector's item one I can use, and that's how I do all my orders.
And he does this for
Mental health.
mental stability and collecting. I keep telling you, most of these albums are never going to be worth anything outside of it, but it's not. I know it's not for the worth. I've always been raised. You buy the music, you open it up, and you listen to it. But I respect what I accept what he's doing, and I'm not going to give him a hard time for it. But I don't agree with it. I believe music should be open and enjoyed, but
So
that's where we differ on it. But you know what? If we're able to financially do it and it makes him happy, I'm going to let it be.
so yeah, so this is the 4-page love letter. Was the first one. This is the second one. Then her Red album, and then I Care for You was right before the Red album, but it was released very. I'm not saying in secret. It just was released, and a lot of people didn't know. And then her White Ultimate album was just released currently with when they're releasing all the stuff on vinyls. Now the good news between he would know more about this subject. So these are not re-releases on vinyl. These are actually releases.
If they were not released upon vinyl when the album initially dropped, but they were released later on, this would be considered the first release on vinyl. Now, like now, when you go to the record store, you can find re-releases of things like the Ramones or Pink Floyd, The Wall, or classic rock albums that people know and want to own, but don't have access to get an original, or they don't care if it's an original or if it's a remastering, whatever. So for me, I like the joy of trying to find an album closest to the original release date when it was on vinyl. It's a thrill of the search for me. I do not mind having repressings, but I try not to do it because I like having the history. But if you're going after just the music, repressings are perfectly fine. Go out, buy it, enjoy it. It's not going to make you any less of a vinyl collector. It's not going to make you any less of a music fan. It's what you buy, and it's great. Enjoy the music the way you want to enjoy it, and there is nothing wrong with it. Music is meant to be enjoyed. There is no right or wrong way to enjoy music. I guess that's what you were looking for?
Correct.
Okay. But, I mean, as far as Aaliyah, I mean, she was never one that was really on my radar. I mean, I knew the Rock the Boat, and then there was the video.
The baby.
Yeah,
somebody.
Yeah, those two songs were the only ones that really ever caught my eye, and more so the reason why they caught my eye was because they were forced down their throat. They were everywhere at the time.
But did you see Queen of the Damned with her in it?
I think I did.
And also that other movie with the Oriental gentleman. Anyway, so she was also in movies, and then there were songs based off, Romeo Must Die.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that too, but I mean, I appreciated this what she did musically, but it never maintained a heavy desire to keep it into any kind of playlist. I mean, when she comes on, I enjoy it, but it's not something that I rush out to listen to.
So what's going on with me? Then you, it's like I like stuff that's been played on the radio, and then I go and grab it. I don't go to the store or to back then it was Virgin Record Store, where I would just go into a record store, sound, what was it called, sound track, something like that in the mall, where you went to buy the albums and ticket sales.
Yeah, I don't remember the names of the places.
And we used
I'm
to have to
horrible with
drive.
names.
I was born and raised in Thibodaux, Louisiana, in a small town, and we used to have to drive to Houma, Kenner, Metairie, New Orleans to get anything. So Houma, Louisiana had a mall, and that's where we bought our tickets to go to the Sanger Theater, which is the playhouse, and for any artist that was coming into town. But at the same time, that's where you went to buy CDs, cassette tapes, and vinyl records, because Walmart had a small section, and it just wasn't. It was whatever was popular at the time. They didn't have anything back stuff. So yeah, so that's what how things were for me when I was a kid, and that's Aaliyah.
I mean, Aaliyah. I mean,
Again, I enjoyed her music before she passed away, and that's the same thing with Selena.
well,
So
I don't think it.
again, this is a childhood thing, like you going back and said that this is a person you listen to and you still listen to her now. And when she passed away, again, it was just, she died in a plane crash, and now it's just getting to the point where you're thinking in your head, like Selena, where she would be by now, and I just go back. And what I enjoy about Aaliyah, other than Selena, the beat of her songs can be still played today, and it's not ever gonna probably change,
Well, I mean,
because she had this type of lyrics, like Rock the Boat, Million to One. When we listen to the lyrics and songs, I think she was 2000, 2002, where, not think, I know, she was of that. So this is when the turn of the age, turn of the century songs were different than the 90s. And that's what it is with Selena. I don't think Selena and Aaliyah, meaning when it comes to Selena Captive Heart, they actually had her go to a song teacher to teach her how to sing pop songs, because she could not. They thought in their eyes that she couldn't do it, and she couldn't physically comprehend what she was going to do. So they just left that alone, and she just sang the song. So Captive Heart is where they wanted to do Aaliyah as pop, and that was the same era where Selena couldn't do today's pop. Aaliyah can, because she's.
but Selena and Aaliyah vocally and stylistically are in two different subgenres.
Correct.
So you can't really compare them on where they would go, because they're not singing the same types of music.
See, I would classify it as,
okay, it would be like it would be asking Reba McEntire, if you would compare like Reba McEntire to Aretha Franklin. Aretha cannot sing the way Reba sings, and Reba cannot sing the way Aretha sings, but they both have powerhouse in their vocal range and their style, and they've made it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So, in the same way, Aaliyah and Selena are both vocal, strong women, but they are different. But to compare them side by side, and if they could sing the same songs in the same manner and be good, you're not going to get it because they're not the same vocally in the style.
All right.
But they're both strong powerhouses.
Okay.
That's where I have the problem of comparing where an artist would be compared to somebody else when they're not of the same style. You know, I mean, that's kind of like comparing Taylor Swift to Loretta Lynn. Both writing their music, both singing songs, both very influential, but they're not the same. They're not going to be, they could not interchange music if they were of the same age as singing at the same time. It wouldn't work. But just because it wouldn't work doesn't discredit the power of the voice of either of them.
So to get a little bit off topic, as a songwriter, how do you designate who the song goes to?
Well, from my understanding, that's a really...
So if I was Keith Thomas, would I give, you know, I will always love you, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're a songwriter, how do you designate who the song goes
You
to?
more just send your music to a record company and they give it to whatever artist wants it and makes it sound good. You don't really get a huge say from what I understand.
So
Unless you're a singer-songwriter, then you write your own stuff and you sing your own stuff.
So I'm Getting Used to You was given to Selena because it was a song, not because she can possibly sing the song. Aaliyah could have gotten the same song and she would have sang it the way she wanted.
From my understanding is the songwriters send in a song to a specific record label, and then that, if the record label says yes, we will take that song, and then I don't know if they get paid when they take the song and then they get paid once it gets put onto an album. Not for sure how that works, but from my understanding is the songwriter does not really get a say in who the record label gives to the artist. But I mean, that's a very, very vague understanding of what I know. I've never researched it. It's kind of like what's just been portrayed in movies and TV and in some books that I've read, works of fiction. I've never actually looked into any honesty of how a songwriter sells their music to an artist or to a record label.
Because you have Hey Violet, 5 Seconds of Summer, where they write their own songs, lyrics, and if they need help, they know who to go to get help for that song, for that genre that they're applying. But if you have somebody like Selena, Aaliyah back in the day, who looked at people to write their own songs, how did their managers or that artist get songs?
Well, like I said,
who said what?
Songwriters send stuff into record labels.
Okay.
How all that works, like, I don't know if the songwriter can send the same song into 3 or 4 different record labels, or if they can only send the song into one record. I don't know all the ins and outs of that.
Well, I'm glad we did that so we can have the podcast about how it's done. Because you have Taylor Swift and Todrick Hall and all these good, amazing artists. They're writing their own songs, own lyrics.
Well, even Chin Up Kid.
Okay, so that's where we were going. But that's another podcast another time once we get that information.
Right. So I mean, but how individuals such as Celine Dion, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, even Whitney Houston, Garth Brooks, whomever, if they're not writing their own music, how the songwriter and artist thing works, I do not know. But yeah, stay tuned. We might actually get up on that.
Okay, so going with the albums, if you're interested, they're all black. The only one that's red is the one that I'm not opening up, but we may open up it on another podcast just so you can see, because I know a lot of people were interested in seeing what these albums look like, because it's not the same thing as what you do on streaming. You're only getting the cover of the album. Y'all enjoyed the Taylor Swift booklet, and you saw the album. You saw her first cover, back cover. So y'all getting to see what we're talking about, not going directly only streaming. You're going to cassette, you're going to vinyl, you're going to CD, and I see that you guys are starting to switch, not switch, but you're starting to start having things physical. So we may have a reveal once I get second copies and I feel comfortable opening them up. I can show you all the albums, open the booklets if there's booklets, and show you the vinyl record itself. I could just do this one right here. So this one right here is A Million to One, and her back is here. And when you pull it out, it's a white sleeve. And it's it's just a black vinyl. So it's nothing special about this one and any of them. The only one that the vinyl itself is red, and the label right here looks like it's a green color, like a marble. But yeah, so that's what you get when you get Target exclusives. Well, or when you see Taylor Swift and it's pink, blue, that's basic on the vinyl itself, and you're not getting anything different.
But the other cool thing is you know, I mean, you get your gatefolds.
I don't know if I can see that.
So they open up, and you get more pictures. You get coolness that you just don't get to appreciate with streaming service. And like we were saying before, it's purposeful of pulling out and looking at and listening to the vinyl. But also, I mean, you get these fabulous pictures, and you're not just doing a random Google search to find pictures of the individual. These were purposely taken and placed into the album, and you get a feel for what they're wanting to give you. So it's just part of the listening experience and the tactileness of physical copies. But I don't know, I just like vinyl. I like the way it looks, I like the way it feels, and it's the medium I went to. I mean, yeah, we have a few CDs, but I haven't had a CD player in a while to get one that actually works and blah blah blah. So yeah.
So if you know of anything, if you're a big music person like we are, what we have is Bose speakers. So our issue is, if you can help us out, please put in the comments below. We have a turntable, and we can Bluetooth from turntable to the sound bar. So we went on Amazon and we tried to find a CD player cassette tape that Bluetooth to the sound bar. Our issue is that our phone goes to the player. We're not looking for that. We're looking for an output, not an input. So if you guys knew of a system, please tag us. Tell us where to go get it off of Amazon so we can purchase it, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a cassette tape, CD player that does Bluetooth out. So when we listen to the song, I want to better listen to the music on our Bose.
So, cool. On that note, keep listening, and we love you.
Rock on.